Don't blink, it's your boy Ink. Welcome to another video, another mukbang. Mukbang. I don't fucking know. Guys are doing well, having a fantastic day. We're quite pressed with time, to be quite honest. But what I'm trying to do here is showcase the amazing meal that is given to us. We got some stew, some ragu, um, Gulushki from Nene Nikolai, which is uncle in Romanian. So what we have is we have the classic pork with a beef stock stew with some potatoes, a lot of basil, a lot of mint that comes to add a little something something. Garlic, a bit heavy with the black pepper, a bit heavy, but still pretty good. We're supposed to eat this, but this, I don't eat it, I'm gonna lose it, and ain't no way, no fucking way, Jose, that I'm losing this. So, we're gonna be eating, we're gonna be feasting, I'm gonna be happy, we're gonna be happy, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Mmm. There's two, they're like the rub, if you will. It is so good. Of course. Except it's a bit too much black pepper for me. But in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of things, I don't like black pepper. So of course, I'm not gonna like this, but the rest, if the rest is only good, it doesn't matter. Today we're working with, working with a question of perception. So I got into a fight again. That's already a fight because honestly, the guy was in a bad mood. You can see he was pushing. I was itching for a fight. Was in a good mood. I'm like, you know what? I should push back. But at the end of the day, that's what my mom yesterday. It really made me think, what am I doing here? Am I fighting this guy? In 5 days, not months, not weeks. This is not gonna matter. And I'm like, this guy is looking for a fight. He's looking to have some pressure on him. And yes, he's pushing you, but don't allow him. Don't enable him to push you. And I've realized that Valve pushing back was saying, hey, I'll entertain you. But what he said really stuck by. He said, because again, very negative, very negative. And I told him, doesn't matter if he pushed me here. The boss is too nice. He's letting you do. He's the only guy that's gonna let you assault and be verbally abusive to other people. In 4 months, I'm gonna be done with you. So go ahead, do your worst. And his answer is, oh, your next job you're gonna have guys like me. You're not gonna make it with your little. You're not gonna make it with your little weird videos. And I was like, dude, you're so fucking wrong. Even if my way of thinking is something out there, I'm talking to a community here. I'm having this guy, shout out Soul 777. Ooh, bring positivity. I'm having this guy, DC Dennis, bringing positivity. I'm having such a small community, but they're fucking with what I'm saying. And at the end of the day, maybe my perception is a bit out there. Maybe. I mean, for sure, my perception is different than his. We're coming from different background. We're different. We're coming from different culture. We're coming from different timeline, right? And I mean, the entirety of YouTube was a bit out there. One of the forefathers of YouTube was Salty Frank, Angry Grandpa, Muddy Target Nuggets. Those were all people that pushed a agenda of being different. You know, all in all, being weird, having a different mindset is great. I mean, I have to hurry up because time-wise, you know, people are always gonna be like, oh, a good leader is gonna be the one that feeds us. It's gonna be the one that says, hey, I'll get you a sandwich today. I mean, sure, that if you work just hard enough, you have enough money to survive, which is delicious. All in all, a great perception, a great mentality. Like, you should work to have what you want. And the fact that if you work hard enough, then maybe you're gonna have a promotion. Maybe you're gonna be okay financially. If you work hard enough, you're gonna be able to pay for food. We're gonna be able to pay to afford what you want in life. But when you're working a 9 to 5, right? It's kind of crazy. We're going really far in cultural speaking. We're going really far into a social construct that is pretty out there. Oh, did I lose a button? I didn't. Good. We're going really fucking far. You see, we're always preaching equality. We're always preaching acceptance. We're always preaching. We're seeing the kids nowadays that are getting a medal just for participating. We're seeing people on TV that are getting a platform because of their sexuality, their orientation, the way they identify themselves. And it's great. But all of this equality, we're not seeing it at work. Because most of us, we're going to be working 40 hours. And we're still going to have issues. Now, I always said I have a good job. I always said I have a good salary. And I have. But I'm alone. I don't have a family. If I had a family, would that be enough? If I had a car, insurance, I have to pay for gas. I have to pay for my insurance, my life's expensive, dude. Life is truly expensive, and you don't realize it until you really start living, you know? So yeah, the amount of people that have great job compared to people who have a shittier job. And it's all a perception of your job. Do you like your job? Do you like the people you work with? Do you like the place you're working at? Right? It's all a perception of that. But the face of poverty is changing. We were thinking before, years ago, we used to always say, oh, somebody poor, not working. Wow. People nowadays are working and don't have enough. And ultimately, we saw this thing with Pokemon a couple of weeks ago. And she was like, we cannot buy $28 cookie if you want to be broke, stay broke. But we're seeing a disconnect from different sphere of society. A perception of individuality. For example, really good. We're talking about a person who has a family, who has a mortgage, who has a car to pay, who has credit debt, right? And we're saying, oh, you're not able to buy $28 cookie. Well, I would be able to, but I'm constantly chased for cash because of my previous engagement, because of choices I made in life. And those choices were made, but when bringing a child in, society is a choice that you should pay for. I saw this video of this girl who gave birth in the hospital in the US. Sure. She went to a private hospital, which is her choice, but the bill was $18,000. You know? That's nuts to me, because by doing this, you're enslaving yourself to work more. But I'm sorry. By enslaving yourself to work more, you create this mentality of I have to work to just survive. And ultimately, the person that's gonna pay for that is not you, it's your kid, because your kid's gonna see their parents. We saw their parents. The person you saw your parents having to work to pay simple stuff, right? Having to work countless hours just to be able to live. So your mentality is, well, I have to work to survive. It's normal. Even if I don't have this wonderful salary, I'll have to work. And when you have a shitty job where you have to work to survive, you'll be like, well, my parents did so too. Now, am I saying that everybody should have a bigger salary? No. Am I saying that money is the root of all issue? No. I think there's a mentality behind money. I think there's an over appreciation. There's overpriced item. I think there's underpriced item. This was a home cook. I would go to the restaurant and eat this, and it would be so expensive, And of course, you put behind the idea of a skills. You need to be skilled enough to cook this. If you don't know how to cook it, you're not going to be able to cook it. And the restaurant, though, doesn't matter how skilled or unskilled you are, you're going to be able to go to the restaurant, right? That's a matter of fact. And you're saying, well, my knowledge has a price. My knowledge has a value, which absolutely does. Absolutely. You went to do a course, you went to do a specialty course, absolutely. You should be able to pay. You should be able to ask for a certain price, right? So here's the problem with not society, but with the understanding of the value of cash. I have a skill, I'm doing a job, I should be able to charge for it. Now, the person that chooses to go to, like, per se, their restaurant, right? Because they want to celebrate or they want to have food, they want to eat something. Now, those person, they might not have a good job, and your choice would be to say, well, if you don't have the money, don't go to the restaurant. And absolutely, right? But by not going to the restaurant, by having a shitty job or having a job that doesn't pay you enough to be able to go to a restaurant, then you're not penalizing yourself. You're penalizing the restaurant by saying, yo, I can afford it. So the less the restaurant has, the more you're gonna have to charge. There's people are going to go there, and we have this non-understanding, and this is exactly the point. We have this non-understanding of money. We have this non-understanding of what it's worth. I want you guys to do one exercise. It's super simple. You take $20, 20 quid, 20 rupee, 20 pesos, 20 yen. Take whatever currency you want. Take a $20, right? Once you do the exercise, it's a very simple exercise. You take a paper and you write down, what can I buy with it, right? And you're gonna be surprised by how many or how little it is. And we lose the question of how much it's worth. I'm gonna sound like a fucking cheap ass, and that's not the point. There's another point with this. There's another point completely. All of this is completely linked. All of this is constructed here. It might not make sense, but it constructed. So when you're gonna be done with the list, right? You're gonna understand that you don't really know what is the worth of $20. A $20 worth. It's not the paper itself. It's what you can afford with it. If you don't, if what you can afford with a $20 is not enough, what you're gonna do? You're gonna invest it, right? You're gonna put it in the bank. In the bank, your interest rate is so little. Then what are you putting in the bank? So you understand the value of money. You understand that no matter how much you have or how little you have, if you don't know what to do with it, it doesn't change shit. You're seeing those rich people, those people who have enough money to be able to live freely and do whatever the fuck they want for their whole life. And those people have an issue where they don't know what to do with their money. There's a case. It's a question of how much I own, right? Now, why am I talking about all of this? Why did I start with having a fight with a coworker, right? Who said your little crazy videos or your little weird videos I'm not gonna permit you to live, right? Now this is where it's wrong. And this is where the value of money is, and is perception, which I'm not saying I'm right, I'm not saying he's wrong, I'm not saying he's right, and I'm not saying I'm wrong. What I'm trying to say is in his perception, as long as he's working, as long as he keeps his head down and he's working and he's doing this 9 to 5, as long as he has a paycheck, he's able to put food on the table, and as long as he's able to put the food on the table, then life is okay. Well, that's my perception. In my perception, those little weird videos are actually taking it out of the box. They say a generous leader is someone that's going to make sure that you're fed. A generous government is going to be a government that is saying, hey, work that much, you'll be able to eat. If you're working 40 hours, we'll guarantee you that you can eat. We're not gonna say what you're gonna eat. We're not gonna say how little you're gonna eat. We're not gonna say how much you're gonna eat. We're not even gonna say that we'll keep the price cost at what it is. We're not even gonna pretend there's not gonna be an inflation of cash, an inflation of the value of things. If you went to the restaurant, if you went to the grocery store, you're seeing that everything is becoming more and more expensive because there are creation of riches that are coming along with, and we're going left, right, but it's all planned. If you manage to understand what I'm saying right now, if you understand where I'm coming from, it's crazy. So there's a lot of fortune that are created. I'm talking about specifically YouTube. I'm talking about Twitch. I'm talking about Kick. I'm talking about OnlyFans. OnlyFans in itself created a large amount of new millionaires. And by a large amount, you're saying, well, Inky, if, for example, last year, and I want you really to think about it. Really take your time to think about it. No rush, right? Last year, let's say, oh, Inky, there's only 100 new millionaire. Well, look 10 years ago, look 5 years ago, before things like OnlyFans. How many new millionaires were arriving in the market? One, two, maybe three a year, right? And now last year there was like 100. So you're observing the difference, right? And those new millionaire, they're bringing a lot of money, cash wise, right? And the disparity of it is very different because, for example, a OnlyFans model who makes $1 million doesn't mind going to Starbucks every day. Now this money didn't come from nowhere. It came from somebody that's working, right? Take a person that's working and they're giving their money and they're simping, right? And those people aren't able to afford a Starbucks, right? Because they're working hard. Now, what they do with their money is up to them. They want to give it to OnlyFans girl, go ahead. That OnlyFans girl or boy. We're gonna say girl because there's more millionaire girls on OnlyFans. Facts. Um, she doesn't mind going for Starbucks for cash, and that's the message we're sending to society: is no matter how expensive this cup of coffee is, this fucking water is, doesn't matter if it's Fiji and it's a lot more expensive than the Santi. For the quality, I'm able to pay. And when we're seeing a store that's overpriced and we're seeing people going there, you're saying you're complaining about money, but look at how much this overpriced store made a difference. People that has a lot of money, people that had a lot of money are higher. So the disparity is a person making $1 million on OnlyFans. Like I said, the money are coming from tips. The tips are coming from a lower class, because again, that lower class makes less. I don't believe that somebody's making $1 million in a tip, even a tip somebody, and if they do, absolutely fine. But I believe that those millionaire, that's the model of, again, OnlyFans or things like that, are money keeps flowing in, and if money keeps flowing in, you're gonna go to the store, which are overpriced, and the people that are giving you the money, they don't have the money to go there. So there's a message we're sending, like, yo, there's still a large amount of people that are going there, but the people that are going there because they have the money are stopping other people from going there. And all in all, it does seem like I'm talking about how it does. It's hard not to understand what I'm saying. That I'm, oh well, since money, some people are having to eat a plate full. Some people should eat less. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the very concept of OnlyFans in the beginning was a weird concept. Now, also, the guy is saying my little weird videos, and it really again stuck with me, because we're thinking that a generous government is saying, again, I'm not repeating myself, but I'm trying to get to a point, and it's hard with myself. Um, they're saying, oh, as long as you work, you'll be able to eat, right? A good government, to me, a good leader. My parents. I did a video with my mom. I did a video with my mom yesterday. My parents weren't good parents because they fed me. They were good parents because they taught me to think outside of the box. And by thinking outside of the box, you're breaking a mold, saying, well, I need to work to eat, which is truly, if it's still true of fact. It doesn't matter if you don't believe you need to work to eat, you need to work to eat. Now, understanding that I might want to spend my time in other fashion than just working to eat, knowing that no matter what I do, I'll never get rich, because again, society is going to be having inflation, and the raise in salary is a it's bad, because every year the government are watching like a growth rate of personal income. So for example, if the normal household in America was making $50,000 a year, right? The general outcome in the next year they're making 60,000. Then the government are saying, well, people are making more, so we should be able to charge more. And by charging more, we get more taxes, and more taxes equal a better city. So in putting money into the system, you're putting money into the city, right? Sorry, I had to go to the bathroom. Like I'm trying to say is, the government, by seeing how much they're making, they're saying, oh, we can tax more, and ultimately taxes are a good thing. Ultimately, tax, when spent carefully, when spent and in good fashion, when there's no corruption, which is a dream, a utopia. When there's no corruption, taxes mean we can have better streets, we can have a better system. Um, with a lot of taxes, with a lot of, if there was a lot of money in the government, a lot of money going around, people wouldn't need to charge again. We're talking about how in a restaurant, like with, for example, you know, an increase in prices. Well, increase in prices of food equal restaurant is more expensive, because they have to pay for the cost of production. The cost of production is my ingredient, my salaries, right? And so I have a profit. For example, if my profit is 10%, the next year I'm gonna have to try a profit of 10%, because otherwise I'm losing money. Even though I'm making money, even though at 10% I'm making money, and even though at 8% I'm making money, well, at 8% I'm losing money versus the 10% I was doing, and by losing money, I'm not gonna allow it, right? My little weird videos are exactly this, are exactly that. It's understanding that no matter how hard you work, you're never gonna be well, I mean, you could, but there's still, no matter how hard you work, there's gonna be this small population, this small percentage of population that are rich, and we're coming into a concept called old money. So family with a lot of money are gonna stay rich, are gonna stay rich, are gonna stay rich. People that owns company, right, are gonna be and it's crazy because we're we're raised to believe that, oh, I own this company, therefore I'm making more, I'm worth more. Not necessarily. This company that you're building, this company that you're having, the very concept that I own a company, I'm going to be rich, is false. You're going to create a company, and then you're going to realize that, oh, it's going to take me 4 years just to make it, to break it even, just to pay my debts. And in those 4 years, you're already 4 years down. You In 4 years, if you're still up and running, you're still making a large amount of money, or you're still making a profit. You finish paying off your debt, right? Your debt. Now, how many company that we saw after 10 years are losing products? How many company after 10 years are closing because it's no longer the state? There's just general idea of a, I know this is hard to follow, and I do apologize for that. But there's this whole idea of, um, I'm working hard. I'll be able to eat. The true kind leader isn't one that's gonna promise you a meal. It's gonna be like my parents that taught me to think outside the box. By thinking outside the box, I understand that yes, I need to work to eat, but life doesn't stop there. And by not being focused on making a bigger amount of money, by not being focused, like a lot of people are saying, even at work, they're saying, oh, you speak English and French. You live in a French and English nation. Why are you working here? You could be working in a place where you make much more money. Because I understand that even if I was to make more money, it wouldn't amount to shit. What am I gonna do with that extra money? Right? You see me living every day. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna go to a restaurant once a week more. In the grand scheme of things, going to the restaurant once a week more, it's ridiculous, right? I'm making these videos because I feel the need to talk. I'm making these videos because they're helping me improve. I'm making these videos, these little weird videos, because I'm pushing a idea that thinking inside the box is not necessarily a great thing. Now, when I'm saying thinking inside the box, what I mean by that? Well, thinking inside the box is, we're talking about a box. We're talking about the box in itself. The box, what it means is conformity. Conformity means being like the same as everybody else. Working a 9 to 5, being able to eat, being able or not to buy a $28 box of cookie, right? And thinking inside a box is that. But if you're pushing forward, if you're pushing more, you realize that this box was created by an establishment, and this box was created possibly with the greatest intent. They was created so nobody would go crazy. It was created for everybody to be somewhat agreeing with each other. We all agree we need to work to eat, right? This is a box. The box in itself protects us from thinking, hey, well, fuck everything. I'm gonna steal. I'm gonna steal money. I'm gonna steal from people because you're aware that I need to work to eat. Right? When you're aware that you need to work to eat, then the mentality of I have to steal to eat is something. No, because you're understanding that all I have to do is have a job. Doesn't matter where I work, right? Doesn't matter how much I make, right? The government told me that as long as I work, I'm gonna be able to eat, right? And the square in itself was a great thing because it taught us to think and agree together. It taught us to think together as a society, making sure that the society persisted, making sure that the society in itself works. Now, along the years, or with the changing reality, we're keeping the same box, right? We're keeping the exact same square. What's inside the square changes. What's outside the square changes, right? but the square in itself stayed the same. Now, the problem with this is by taking in a square, the square became a cage. And the cage in itself is still teaching you the very basic and very positive value of work, you'll eat. Don't work, you're gonna have a harder time, right? And this, I kept on saying, oh, work here, work there. We need people that work. We need people that fix our streets. We need people to pick up the garbage. We need people to fix the toilet. We need people to fix the electricity. We need people to work in a society for this society to exist. This society won't exist. This society won't always get better if nobody's working. We need people to maintain the society, and that's why we created money, is to say, yo, you did something good, right? So the concept of money in itself is kind of nuts, right? The concept of money in itself is the foundation of this whole entire video. The foundation of money is, okay, well, before that we had trade system, right? We had a trade system where a hunter could say, hey, I'm gonna give you this meat, in exchange you'll give me wood, right? And with money, it was such a good thing because money came in and it was like, yo, it doesn't matter if you need wood, doesn't matter if you need meat, doesn't matter if you need salt, doesn't matter what you need. With money, doesn't matter how much you give, we'll give you money and you'll be able to buy whatever the fuck you want, right? Now, the thing that changed, money to this day is still this. I get paid, I need something, I'll buy it, right? Now, the thing that changed was the value of this money, right? So in the beginning, in the very beginning, everybody um, had a same understanding of money. Like, oh, this thing, because back in the days, we had a very limited amount of product. Now, if you look, there's product that you don't even know exists, that you need to this day, that you need, and you're like, holy shit, I need that, but I don't know it exists. So because I don't know it exists, I'm not gonna buy it, right? And now you have this understanding that money in itself had this hyper value of, I work, I get paid, I buy, right? And that's a consumerism. This is the very idea that I'm a consumer, I work, I'm a consumer. It's not that I work to survive. And this is the beauty of this concept that I'm trying to push. The idea of in the box where we were saying again and again and again. I probably said so 10 times in the video. I work, I eat, right? Before this very idea was working to survive, right? So because I work, I'm able to live. Now it's working because I'm a consumer, not because I need to live. For example, with the I'm gonna give you a better example than that. We have Netflix, we have Hulu, we have Amazon Prime, we have Disney Plus, we have Crunchyroll, we have Paramount Plus. I just named six out of the top of my head. Six channel who are gonna give you content. We're oversaturated, we're overstimulated with social media. And I want you to do another exercise, right? For me. How many times in a show on Netflix? I'm guilty of that too, by the way. I'm not saying you're not. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm guilty of that. I'm saying, how many times a month or a week are you seeing a show on Netflix? I should watch this. This is very interesting, right? This is very good, right? And you never watch it because you don't have the time. Well, guess what? The reason why you're not watching this show isn't because you didn't have time. The reason why you wanted the reason why you wanted to watch this show, right, was novelty. It was brand new. It was something that could interest you. That was new. You never heard of it, right? So you're like, okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. Now, with the time that passed, the interest goes lower. You're like, holy shit! I remember that show. I should have watched it. I didn't even watch it. Oh, I'll watch it in a month, right? And the reason we're addicted to social media, the reason why we're addicted to YouTube, TikTok more, Netflix, Paramount Plus, is because we're bombarded with novelty. We're bombarded with the idea that I'm always going to be able to watch something that's interesting. But when we have a weekend or when we have a vacation, we don't know what to watch. Now, once you think about this last vacation you had, and you realize that you didn't do shit, and you had so many plans, but you didn't do shit. And the reason for that, they're gonna push the idea that it's procrastination. They're gonna push the idea that because I procrastinate, I wasn't able to do much. Well, the idea is I was so overstimulated, I was so overpressed with content that no matter what I watch, I didn't catch up. I could have watched one show. I chose to watch seven. I could have finished one show. I chose to watch half of seven. Now I'm back at work. I don't have the time to watch the show. Now every single thing that I watch, I lost time, and the time is more valuable than money. So as long as you believe that you have things to do, you don't mind working. When you realize that you're working to live and not live, you're live. When you realize that you're living to work and not working to live, that's the concept change. Remember what I used to? Remember what I said about how if you do something, you'll get something. Then the ID change, right? The ID change. The idea started from the very simple concept of I'm doing something, I'll get something. The idea became I'll need to work to get something. I'm not sure what I'm gonna get. I'm not sure how much I'm gonna get of it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get anything at all. I need to work, right? And we're so focused. We're so fucking obsessed with the idea of no matter how hard I work, I'm gonna have this 2 weeks vacation. I'm gonna have this 3 weeks vacation. It's gonna be the fucking bomb, right? I'm gonna do. Oh, I have so much plans. I have so much plans, and then you go to the 2 weeks, and you're so tired from your job that you didn't do shit. Like, for example, the weekend. If you're working hard, if you're truly hardworking, then the weekend you're gonna spend most of it relaxing because you're so overwhelmed by what happened in the week that the weekend you don't do shit, right? And this is where the idea of my small little weird video comes into taking it out of the box. The box in itself that was meant to protect us, limited us, transform us into sheep. And if you look at a cage, if you look at also, it's a hard concept. If you look at a pig, let's say like a pigsty, think about a pigsty. You're gonna see a square, right? And you say you're not gonna think about a prison. You're not gonna think about a prison, right? You're gonna see pig, and you're gonna be like, well, inside, they're gonna stay inside. We need those pigs to survive, so we can kill them and eat them, right? And then you can say, well, it's protecting them from wolf, coyote, um, from the outside. I want you guys to think: when's the last time in the news we heard about a coyote attacking a pig? Right? Almost never. Almost never. And we're we're feeling there's a feeling of security inside that square, inside that box of conformity. There's a feeling of, well, I'm in this box, I'm safe. But the reality is you don't even know. We don't even know what we're safe from. We're taught that, yo, if you think like that, if you think inside the square, you'll be fine. But they don't tell you, well, if you were to think outside the square, you wouldn't be fine. I when insanity when insanity starts making sense, it becomes sanity. When insanity starts resonating with you, you're pushing that idea away because you don't want to look insane. By peers, they're gonna be, hey, this guy is weird because he's thinking differently. No, 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 no. The reason why I'm thinking differently is because I know that the square is a mental prison. We're talking about physical death. We're talking about mental death. Mental death isn't fucking. I I'm gonna get a lot of problem for that. I'm gonna be able to say I had depression. I had depression. I've been having depression. Right now I'm better. I'm much better now. Right. Mental death wasn't depression. Mental death wasn't able to have a free form of thought. Free form of thought, what it is, it's very simple. It's being able to think whatever you want. You know those dark ideas. We're seeing a rise out of that with a troll community where people on the internet are having anonymity, being able not to have your name and not to have real repercussion. We're seeing trolls that are saying the most horrendous shit. When somebody says to someone over the internet that video sucks, that ID sucks, do they really believe it, or they're just in a bad mood? They're just something that bad that happened. It's just freeing up anger, and there's nothing wrong with that. We're being giving a platform where not being yourself, not putting in a name, not putting in a label, having no consequences for the action. If if the very idea of I work, I eat wasn't something that was if I kept on saying that the idea of I work, I eat is bad. But if we didn't have that idea, nobody would want to work. And by nobody wanting to work, it wouldn't be like, think about it. if you had free times, most of us would be completely fine. Most of us would watch TV. Most of us would play a video game. Most people would film a video, right? But if the very concept of I don't work, I don't need to work to eat, some people will go out of line. I want to see a social. I want to come back to the social experiment. Now, the purge in itself, the purge, what was it? It was for one day a week, for one day a year, every single crime is permitted, right? So the law, the fact that we're thinking inside a box, right? You think in that movie, sure, it's a movie, but it makes sense. It's not something completely weird. You think if we were all forced, if we were all able to think outside the box, if we were all able to think outside the box, how many people would still think in the box? We're giving the illusion that thinking outside the box is the only possible solution, because when you start having free thought or free form of thought, when you're starting to want to make videos, small weird videos, small videos like this with a concept that doesn't make sense, with the inability, you're seeing how much problem I have explaining this very concept. You're seeing how hard it is for me to talk about it. It's not because it's not clear. It's not because it doesn't make sense. It's because we're so used, we're raised to think kind of box. And I was lucky because my parents, although we're strict, they didn't say, oh, well, you're going to walk this line. And if you walk out of this line, we'll slap you. My parents were good parents because they said, okay, well, this is the path. And when they saw me going to the path, they just pushed me back gently in and say, hey, come back in. It's the right way to go. And by doing this, you're giving your kids the best present. You're saying, hey, this is a safe route. You can go a bit on the side. You can go a bit on the other side. It doesn't matter. As long as you're keeping in mind that this is a path. So by saying this, what I mean is never, ever in my entire life, my father, my mother were like, hey, don't think outside the box. Who gives a shit? Right? And by doing this, they allowed me to be able to say, well, I can have a free form of thought. And it's not gonna matters. My parents were like, yo, uh, my father, when I created this channel, when I said to my parents, uh, it's beautiful. When I said to my parents, I'm gonna do YouTube, right? My mom, she says, well, it's okay. Whatever you want, I'll always be there for you. And that's a good mom, right? That's a good mom. She didn't say, hey, go ahead, follow your dream. She was making sure that I kept my job. If you're looking at the conversation we had, she wanted to make sure that I keep my job, right? My father, on the other hand, was like, can you live from that? And when he told me, and a lot of people would get mad at that. They would say, oh, it's not a good father. He told me, can you live from that? You're not going to be able to make a living. And he understand that working at 9 to 5 is kind of the only option, right? So yeah, so this is part one of part two. I don't know if I'm going to do a part two because again, this is a very confused concept, and the idea of a confused concept is because there's a part of me that believes that taking out a box, that understanding the box is there for a good reason, right? Is there. But also understanding that the death of mind is not being able to have free form of thought, a free will to be only thinking the same way of other people, because if you don't, it's gonna be weird, right? This is what I'm scared of. This is the fatality of mentality. This is understanding that no matter what I do, I have to stay in this lane. So yeah, so it's a hard video to make. It's a hard concept to even think about because I don't want it to seem like I'm saying if you don't have free will, if you're staying inside the lane, you're a fucking douche. Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I'm just pushing people. I'm just trying to push people. I'm just hoping that people are able to have their own perception, their own thought, and be like, yo, at the end of the day, I can take what I want, and that's not gonna affect me. And I feel like this is something we're missing. I feel like there's something we're missing. Like the old idea behind the Netflix rant. The whole idea behind that was if I work, I'll be able to have these 2 weeks off. By having those 2 weeks off, I don't need to overthink, because no matter what I'm going through, no matter how hard work is, I know I'm gonna have those 2 weeks off, and I know by those 2 weeks off I'm gonna be able to do whatever I want. But we're overstimulated, and there's also this peer pressure to watch every single show. Like, you remember at school, you remember at work when they say, "Hey, have you watched this show?" And the show could be great, the show could be fucking amazing, but the fucking fact that if you didn't watch that show, right? You're not cool. You're not part of the plot. And what I have a problem with is, even though the show is good, you're being told what to do. You're being told what to do at work, and you're being told what to do after work. If you don't do it, you're gonna be judged, and that's my problem, because life is so short that I don't want. You know, I spend a lot of my friends are saying, you spend so much time making a YouTube video. You spend your entire life, you're not living. And I could argue the same thing. Yes, I didn't watch this show. I didn't watch this. I have no idea what she's talking about. But making video is what I love to do. And as silly as it is, as crazy as this video seems, in 5 years I'm going to be watching back those videos. I'm going to be like, what the fuck is he talking about? It's only going to be one thing that's left. That those little weird video push me to be able to do whatever the fuck I want to do. Because making this video actually isn't a obligation, it's a liberty of choice. Saying what I want to say in this video, no matter how crazy it seems, it's a liberty of choice. It's a liberty of being able to say what I want to say, when I want to say it, to have this form of thinking that I'm having right now. I'm not saying this form of thinking is what I'm going to have in 5 years. I'm saying this right now, this is how I feel. And there's something very freeing into saying what you want to say. Even if this video is never seen, even if this video never pops up, even if this video didn't do shit for anybody in this entire world, it did something for me right now, right here. And I'm grateful for that. On that note, I'm going to leave you. I have to go to work. Take it easy. Peace. Goodbye.